Half-hole techniques are a great way to get more notes, more pitches out of these instruments. And the way I'm doing that with that phrase, that last phrase I played, instead of playing, I'm playing, I'm coaxing a note out of the instrument that is between this note and this note. And the way I'm doing it on this instrument is to, I'm actually rocking my finger up and allowing it to half hole or shade this hole. Now, there's a lot of ways to get a note between this note and this note. First thing I can do is start closing lower holes. This is called cross fingering. I'm going to leave this hole open, the fourth hole from the top, and I'm going to close. I have several possibilities, right? So I could close this hole, goes down a little bit, goes down a little bit more, closing both lower holes, goes down even more, and finally, so I have actually between this note and this note, I have 3 additional pitches on this instrument. I can play that's called cross fingering, and that's one way to do it. But what we're doing in this video are half hole techniques. So when you initially hear the term half hole, you know, usually the first attempt for plays is to cover half the hole or part of the hole, and it might look like this. And the more you cover, the flatter the pitch gets. But I'm actually using a different technique, and I'll hold the flute up so you can see what I'm doing. I'm using my finger at an angle over the hole to shade the hole. It's a little bit more reliable than trying to guess how much of the hole you're going to want to cover, because getting a consistent angle over the hole, with a little bit of practice, you can do it pretty reliably, and you can get exactly the pitch you want. Also, in this style of, I'm actually moving my finger a little bit to get part of the wobble, that vibrato sound that I'm getting, and really go for that, you know, deep blues sound, right? I should be wearing sunglasses for this. Really exaggerating it there, right? So it gives me the option of varying my angle. Now, the first place you might want to try doing half holing is on the bottom hole. And why is that? Well, the distance between this note and that note, musically, it's quite a ways apart. Musically, it's 3 semitones. And the distance between the higher notes, between this note, those notes are closer together. There are only 2 semitones, and those are only 2 semitones apart, but these are 3 semitones apart. And there's a lot of songs that actually call for a note, you know, a lot of, especially hymns that you might want to play, call for a note between this note and this note. See, we can try to half hole it. We can give it a go. And even with that shading, that angle approach on my finger, the note can sound kind of wanky on a lot of flutes. It can sound, the flute is not resonating cleanly. The air inside the sound chamber of the flute is not resonating back and forth cleanly. You get this kind of wanky, sometimes you get an overblow sound. It wants to squeak. Some flutes it might work on, but for most flutes it's going to be quite difficult to get a clean sound on that bottom hole. But often on a lot of the other holes, I'm getting a pretty clean sound between the 2 notes using the shading, the angled finger approach. Now, you also saw that there was a technique in there where I'm playing an exercise, and this is a great exercise to play. If you want to practice and get accurate at half-holing between two notes, here's the exercise, and I'll do it slowly, and I'll gradually speed up. That exercise, you practice it 15 seconds a day for a week, you'll get accurate. You'll find that you're quite accurate at getting a good pitch, a good sound between the lower and the upper pitch, halfway between. And of course, you're going to want to try that on every one of the finger positions, maybe except for the bottom hole. And here's another thing you're going to find. I said the bottom hole is difficult, but if you're comfortable with playing in the second register, that's notes above the octave. I'll go up to the octave. And I'll play into the second register. Now, if you want a half hole in the second register, that is more accurate and tends to work on a lot of flutes. Notice I'm half-holing on the bottom hole, and it's working, and it's getting me a note I couldn't otherwise get on this flute. So those are everything I could think of about half-holing techniques. They can be a lot of fun. They require just a little bit of practice, not too much. You practice it a couple of seconds a day for a week on each one of the positions, and then you put it in your toolbox, and it'll just pop up when you want it, when you want a sound between the notes that we normally play. These are the kind of techniques that we now cover up fairly briefly at our workshops. We will touch on that, but now that people are looking at these flute casts, we find that they come to the workshops, and it's great to see the technique again, but they pick it up quite quickly, and we quickly move on to playing lots of music. So we would, of course, love to have you join us at a workshop.